Hello and welcome to another edition of the program Behind the Headlines. I am your host, Ahmed Hassan Ahmed. Behind the Headlines is a Ditv news and current affairs program which x-rays events and happenings in Nigeria and around the world. This week on the program, we shall feature views of Nigerians on the recent judgment of the Supreme Court with emphasis on electoral cases, as well as views of some Nigerians on the June 12 National Democracy Day celebration, among others. This and more when we return.
This is Ikolo Community, and this is Otana Community. After election, the Ikolo school needs repairs, but the politician has already settled them. Otana Hospital needs repairs too. Otana Community demands action and gets results. Your vote is powerful. It builds the future. Don't be settled.
No sit down look.
No sit down look.
No sit down look.
Welcome back. Following the landmark judgment of the Supreme Court in Zamfara State Governorship and National Assembly elections, as well as other electoral cases across the country, Nigerians are beginning to have confidence in the nation's judiciary, a development which many attributed to the reform in the judicial arm. Behind the Headlines spoke with some analysts on the success so far recorded by the nation's judiciary, among whom were the Senior Special Assistant to the President on House of Representatives Matters, Honorable Umar El-Yakub, and a former member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ibrahim Bello Rigachukun, among others.
Well, we thank God for that, but this is also another commendable achievement of President Muhammadu Buhari, who has been a very inspirational leader, who has been able to galvanize support of Nigerians based on his moral standing, based in his commitment to the rule of law, based upon his ideals as a statesman and someone that cares for this country and is determined to see that we change for the better. It is commendable, and it is indeed on record, that President Muhammadu Buhari has in himself epitomized the belief in the sanctity and of the judiciary, in the rule of law, and to the extent that in all the elections he held, his recourse to the judiciary took him up to the Supreme Court. And at every point when it is finally decided, he accepted the verdict of the judiciary, i.e. the verdict of the court, on the election petitions that he had been involved with. So he had always believed that the rule of law must be imbibed, and also believed in the, separation of powers, and also supported, in this case, the judiciary to the extent that there were no meddlings from his government in how the judiciary is being run. So having appreciated their independence and knowing that this president has stood by what is right, and he stands for the protection of the rights and liberties of Nigerians, and therefore I believe had given the judiciary a boost to the extent that they are able to discharge their responsibilities without fear or favor. Even when it affects his own party and party men, they are able to do that because they know that he would not meddle in their affairs. So, as you have said, it's an inspiration in itself, and also it has inspired even more hope in the lives of Nigerians, that at least they can now comfortably, recourse to the judicial system if they feel they have been their rights have been infringed on or violated, or in any civil or criminal case, that their rights will be protected and the judiciary will be there to dispense justice. So for that, we thank and appreciate Mr. President, and of course I believe that this process of better governance will continue to be seen in all spheres of Nigerian lives, and indeed in all the arms of government.
All right.
Because the leadership is about that.
Now, most of Nigeria doesn't know the establishment, what's an apex court, or the powers of apex court. But I'm so happy, say it involves with the politicians now, even the person, any local politician knows about an apex court now. So this to tell us with the politicians how to be very careful, that there's a difference between law, our norms, and political interests. we the party will do our political maneuvers, interests within our own capacity, but when it comes to court, we should know that there's not any judicial officer who belongs to the CPC or APC or APGA. They are there to decide cases on merits. And so nobody, Nigerians are even surprised that how can a government of a particular state, like Zamfara state, where from the governor up to the council, they are from the APC and have been scattered away. And now the money is given to the opposition. So this to tell us that we are learning every day that court is not a place of politicking. We should do the needful. We have three instances. Whether the party has a right to do direct primaries, indirect primaries, or consensus. So a sitting governor can utilize the third ambit of consensus to do whatever he wants to do. But in a situation where the three instances given by the Electoral Act is abused, there's no any responsible court that will allow that. So that's why the tribunal disagree with them, some agree, some disagree. But the Apex Court, the Supreme Court now do the needful, do the right thing. So, this serves as a deterrent to we the politician. We must do the needful, we must comply with the rudiments of the law. Let's take out politics and our law. The courts, they have not ambushed any political party from any part of this state. Whoever play with their laws, yes, you have a bus stop now. And now the politicians are aware. If you don't infringe anything, a politician will not go and look for a lawyer and goes to court and he gets his justice. Yes, well, I appreciate very well that the European Union was able to submit their own report for the government of this country. Their observations, their participation, and their own kind of issues, that was established. So to me, it's a very good opportunity for we the Nigerians, with the politicians, the government, to utilize this report and do the needful. You go to the report very well. You look at the critical issues. We Nigerians, we know very well. We know what we can easily commit. We know what is just a kind of a rumor. We know the reality of things. We know things that they are untouchable things. And we know some actors, some political gladiators are involved, the security agents involved, the way and manner the security agents were able to do something that very, they did something which is so good enough that even the revenue, they are proud of their own achievement. They did well, and where they complete. So this is something which the government is supposed to sit down and peruse all the report, do the needful, pick out the relevant things, and work with it so we can move forward ahead. In Nigerian democracy, all we need is integration. Well, even the American government, as we relate them, they have been there for almost 200 years. So our one is 20 plus. So now we should appreciate them and continue to invite them, utilize all the report there, but we pick the relevant ones, those the ones that beyond reasonable doubt is certain it has been established. Then we look at it, we look at the remedies, and we solve our problems. I think, to me, I appreciate that, and I'm happy now is before the government, and the government is going to do something about it.
Actually, it's the right step in the right direction, given the remarkable judgment. Although analysts say judiciary is an axe, but in this judgment, of recent judgment happiness from the appeal courts, from the federal court, high court, appeal court, and Supreme Court, the judgment coming has given a kind of hope to Nigerians that really, yes, they can trust the judiciary once more. And this did not happen until the present government, under the leadership, quality leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, through the necessary Ministry of Justice, Federal Ministry of Justice, and security agency, clamped down on some corrupt judges in this country from all levels and from all indication. This action is beginning to yield results. And we know, irrespective of the separation of power, the principle of, and doctrine of separation of power, there's need to follow the rule of law. And that is what Nigerians are beginning to see. It has begun to yield the dividend of justice, that irrespective of who you are, where you are, whatever your capacity, you'll be nil. You can remember the former Secretary of Government of the Federation, Babaji Lawan, is facing trial. He's a right-hand man of Mr. President, and other people like that. And you can, our listener, our viewers at home, the judgment of Zamfara State is still fresh in the mind of Nigerians, which is legendary. And we hope to see more of this kind, seeing a sitting government, a ruling party, a governing party, losing the whole structure of governance of a state, of Zamfara State. This is the right step in the right direction. It's a remarkable judgment. It's outstanding. Credit will be given to the Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Tanko, and his colleagues and other chief justices of the Temple of Law for doing what is right for the Nigerians.
So you think with this development, the political parties, not just the APC and PDP, other political parties will have learned a lesson and will ensure that internal party democracy comes to play?
Oh yes, absolutely, because it's a watershed in the political history of our country. Understand, this is the first time people were being disciplined, a party was being disciplined, a knock in the head for not doing the right thing, and irrespective of the party, the governing party. So I think other parties, there's hope for other parties that politicians must learn how to play the games by the rules. So our challenges in this country is the inability of the political class to play the games by the rules, and they must do away with this do or die politics, politics of greed, politics of selfishness, politics of putting self above national interest.
Actually, what is happening in the judiciary, in the judiciary is a welcome development, is there in the right direction. Looking at what is happening, that the President Muhammad Buhari assured that is going to transform and make a lot of improvement in the area of judiciary. So what we are seeing is a sign that the common man in Nigeria has hope that judiciary will fight to make sure he gains his right. So what is happening is what is happening is that nobody is above the law. And what is happening, is the wish of Nigerians. It's the wish of Nigerians. This is what we have been struggling, what we are agitating for, to make sure there's justice for the common man in Nigeria. And what is happening shows that really the common man has hope in the judiciary, and shows that the government is working and is doing good to Nigerians.
Similarly, following President Muhammadu Buhari's June 12 Democracy Day speech in Abuja, more Nigerians have continued to air their views on whether the nation had learned lessons from the June 12, 1993 elections or not, which was widely adjudged to have been won by the late June 12 hero, MKO Abiola. Behind the headlines also spoke to some Nigerians on their expectations as the nation celebrates 20 years of uninterrupted democracy. The speech of President Buhari on June 12 faced a lot of criticism, particularly when he said he was going to take out about 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. And a lot of Nigerians will have reviewed that over the last few years of his administration. So many Nigerians lost jobs and were out of, lost their jobs and were not employed. I mean, how possible is it for this administration under Buhari to take out 100 million Nigerians out of poverty?
Well, one must appreciate how we got to the position we are in now first. Because in any event, the circumstances that led to some people losing jobs didn't start with the administration of Buhari. It's because of the irresponsible way the previous governments had neglected investment in the real sector, investment in infrastructure, investment in education, investment in health, the investment in agriculture, in social interventions, social investments, which only President Buhari now came and continued even where they stopped and initiated more programs. So you find that part of the reason why some people might have lost their jobs is because of previous policies of government and not creating the enabling environment for business and the economy to thrive. But now, I want to believe that people should also appreciate that a lot of people have gained employment in this government. It is on record that various departments and agencies of federal government have been recruiting people. It's on record. People are still applying in some cases. Some are being interviewed. That's number one. Number two, due to the social investment programs, a lot of youth and women have been given a lifeline to the extent that now they have something to do because they have been supported. There was intervention on behalf of government through N-Power, Trader Money, the school feeding program, Anchor Borrower scheme, so many initiatives of government that is targeted at empowering people and giving them employment and lifting people out of poverty. In addition to that, there is a lot of investment in infrastructure in this government, be it the rail, the roads, the air transportation, and a lot of investments also in other capital projects such as the healthcare system, the educational system, various interventions. And those programs are certainly affecting the lives of people and giving them succor and most importantly, giving them a livelihood, because it gives them, creates the space and the opportunity for them to be employed gainfully, even though it might be self-employment. And with more commitment to this kind of investment into infrastructural development, certainly this government and collaborating with state governments can lift Nigerians out of poverty. So I don't think it's something that you said there are a lot of Nigerians where, I don't remember the word you used, apprehensive, so to speak. I think we should be positive-minded and optimistic that there is hope and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
In another development, following Saturday's election of the Nigeria Automobile Technicians Association, NATA, Kaduna State Chapter, one of the contestants for the chairmanship position, Goodluck Eromo, has described the election as a sham which must not be allowed to stand. Speaking with Behind the Headlines, Mr. Eromo, who is the vice chairman of the association, alleged that 8 local government areas that were not members of the association were illegally smuggled into the election premises. He therefore called on all relevant stakeholders not to recognize the new executives, adding that his team had already petitioned the association's national headquarters and other stakeholders for justice to be done.
What transpired yesterday is that we had an election yesterday, NATA election yesterday. And that very yesterday, 2 days to the day of that election, we discovered that some local governments that are not functioning in NATA, we now discovered that they will be participating in the election. So I called the Northwest Vice President to inform him of this issue. I called the Kaduna State Chairman to also inform him of this issue. And when we called the Northwest Vice President, he asked me to put it in writing, which I did. And he said he would be coming to Kaduna 2 days before that election, which I waited for him. He didn't come until a day to the election. He came, and I submitted the petition to him, the complaint to him, and he said he invited us to his hotel room, where I told him of the 8 local governments that are not existing among the one they brought. Because I have been in NATA as a state executive member for almost 10 years now, and I've never seen any of these local governments. And I've been a unit chairman for 9 years. I have been a unit PRO for 6 years. I have never seen this local government existing. So I tried to explain to them, and they said, okay, there's no problem. We should wait until the next day, which is the election day, that they will address the issue before the election. Only for we to get there, they were trying to say the election should start. My boys were even ready to make trouble, but I said no. We are peacemaker. We are we are abiding by the peace. Since the Northwest Vice President is here and he cannot handle the situation, let us have the election. Then we'll know the way forward. And that was how we did that election yesterday, for peace to reign. My complaint is that that election of yesterday was fraudulent, was filled with irregularities, because these 8 local governments are not supposed to participate. My demand to the authority, which is the national body of NATA, is for my rights to be given to me, because I know that I am the rightful winner of that election. I want that election, because if you plus and minus, you will discover that I am far ahead of them.
So if those 8 local governments are taken away and a recount is done, you believe you carry the day?
I will carry the day. Very, very sure of that.
All efforts to contact the new chairman proved abortive. Well, viewers, this is World Recording on today's edition of Behind the Headlines. Join us same time, same place next week for another package. But until then, I remain Ahmed Hassan Ahmad, saying do have a pleasant week ahead and bye.